Hey everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. You're listening to PHLY Flyers presented by Mortgage CS. Check out mortgagecs.com/PHLY to start your home buying process today. Company NMLS ID number 1464766. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the evening. Joining me today is Broad Street Hockey's own Kelly Hinkle. Florida's
own Charlie O'Connor.
Charlie is stuck in Florida. He might be
Florida
in some
man.
sort of what was that? Flight 93. What was that? No, that's a totally different movie. What's the show where they get lost in time?
Lost?
No, that's fuck it. Anyway. We're
Off
here
to a great start.
You know what? We're just moving on like this never happened.
I don't remember.
I guess we'll just start right at the top today, Kelly. I have a plea for the Flyers. Now, in the days, especially the playoffs, the shirts they would put out, they would get them put out pretty quickly.
Yep.
Whether it was the Megadeth security shirt, the like Hogan shirt when Hartnell was taunting the guy in the fight with Pittsburgh. Like, regardless of what it was, they could get these things out pretty quick. Jonesy,
Keith,
whoever needs to hear this, you have to print free Torts or I'm not leaving shirts or whatever for the next 2 home games.
Yeah.
Like, you have these 2 home games.
Let's
you
go.
need to have something here. Like, this is... I would buy a ticket to these games just to get the shirt.
Easy opportunity.
If they put these shirts out, I'm going to look on eBay for these shirts. Like,
yes.
This is simple stuff. The way the city has reacted. I mean, Dan Hilford, you played it right off the bat with Hilford going, "Oh, we're paying that fine."
Sure did.
Which absolutely sent the fine from like $5,000 to $50,000.
Right.
Like, oh, we're taking Xfinity's money, we're taking Comcast money,
They
like
got plenty.
$50K. But you got to do this, Flyers. Like, please. This is a huge moment for you. Print the I'm not leaving shirts. All right. So we go to the John Tortorella suspension. That's what we go with. He gets 2 games for yelling at officials and refusing to leave the bench when ejected, and he was fined $50K. Dan Hilford, he said, "I'll be paying that. Don't worry about it." That game, I mean... Saturday's game was an absolute shit show.
Start to finish.
The first 10-50 of that game was ridiculous. This seems a little out of hand, though, right? Like a 2-game suspension of $50,000 for what is essentially being like, what are you doing out there?
Yeah.
To the officials who clearly had no idea what they were doing out there.
And refused to explain to him why he was being ejected.
Yeah.
Or what was going on or anything. Stayed on the other side of the ice. Like a couple of cowards.
Now, what was said on 32 Thoughts today was it was actually a rookie official who made some of these calls. And then when Tortorella started to go nuts, Wes McCauley then stepped in. Oh, great. Like, of all the, and
what a hero.
He's Cowboy Joe West, so he's gonna assert his authority as he sees fit.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, should you be abusing the officials verbally?
Yes.
No,
Oh.
I guess. I mean, I heard coaches in high school hockey say shit worse than fuck off after 3 bad calls in a row.
I feel like Torts yells that at least 7-8 times a game.
They show him mouthing that all the time. I mean, I know people called it a tantrum and he's got a short fuse and he blew up. This has happened in every game this year, I feel like.
With every coach.
Yeah. And I was a little baffled by all the decisions. I think the thing that to me displayed how bad the officiating was in that game was the first call on Ronnie Attard, the phantom hold.
Yeah.
In which The referee is behind the net and puts his arm up on this non-penalty penalty.
Yeah.
The Flyers directly in front of him. Now he's behind the net. All he's looking for is the puck because that's your job there. He's calling a penalty on the Flyers. They clear the puck, and he does not blow the whistle. He does nothing. Tampa got like another minute of delayed penalty time before they finally blow the whistle. And just so much weird stuff happened in that game, and Tortorella lost it. But like a 2-game suspension,
It's
really
absurd. And I'm sure that it's like, oh, repeat offender because he's been suspended before and he's been fined 1,000 times. But like
12 fines, I think I heard today in his career, which seemed low.
It does seem low.
It's less
I feel
than
like
one a
he
year.
could do better. Yeah.
It's been 20 years since Tampa won the cup.
Come
It's
on,
less
dude.
than one a year.
Step up your game. NHL officials, and this was something that they pointed out in 32 Thoughts, as fans, we feel little to no accountability for them being terrible at their jobs often. And this kind of thing just kind of exacerbates that because there's absolutely no explanation at all as to what started it. Why was he thrown out? Why'd you get so mad? What were you doing? Why are you always in front of the camera, Wes McCauley? What's your problem? Like, there was just no explanation whatsoever. And so it just leaves people to speculate and think to yourself, oh, well, it's just them being shitty at their jobs.
Yeah.
Which is like not the vibe. Like, you don't want people to think that about your officials.
John Tortorella is disliked by, at minimum, 50% of hockey fans. Basically, everyone is on Torts' side. And listen, maybe he said, we all know that there's certain words in baseball that you just can't say to an ump. That's automatic. You're out of here. Maybe he crossed.
Is there a list?
We'll talk about it off the air. There's certain shit you just can't say. Maybe he crossed one of those lines, and it's Wes McCauley. He's been doing it forever. It's Tortorella. I'm sure they've had words before, maybe this is possible that Tortorella went overboard. I mean, I could see it. It's within the realm of possibility, But without any sort of explanation, all of a sudden, John Tortorella, who is thought of as a bully and an asshole by everyone, is like, I don't know if he's wrong.
No, he's the hero in this story.
It's kind of weird almost that people are so on his side. And I just think of how the NBA does this thing called the 2-minute report. And in the final 2 minutes of games, they go back and watch the tape and break down all the calls and non-calls and actually release it to the public and tell you what was right and what was wrong. It's
That's
something.
incredible.
This was called. It was called correctly. This wasn't called and should have been. This was called and shouldn't have been. It's wild. Imagine that in the NHL where at the end of the game on Saturday, forget after the fact or a referee press conference, we're sitting there watching the game and JJ's sitting there like, so the refs just aren't announcing the penalties anymore. Like, they just stopped telling us what was happening at the end of that game. They would just let us all to speculate. They weren't even telling the fans in the crowd. They were just like, we're not announcing the penalties. Good luck. It was the wildest thing I've seen in a long, long time.
They're just allowed to regularly not do their jobs properly. And it's very frustrating because, especially when thanks to Tim Peel, that they don't actually call the games fairly.
Yeah.
So
no, we've seen this like anytime, and someone put out the article from years ago when some of those Colin Campbell emails got leaked, and it was just like, there is clearly ulterior motives at play when shit like this happens. The thing is not refereed. The entire sport is not governed equally, and when things like this happen, I don't know if it's allowing at least a pool reporter to go talk to a ref after a game, whatever it is, like any sort of transparency would be nice. Like at least with suspensions of the players.
Yeah, you get those videos.
They break down a video and like you can agree or disagree with their assessments, but it's like, this is our thinking. And all right, at least that's something. I cannot imagine a video of this. And it's like, well, John Tortorella used a word. I would just love to hear what the explanation is. And before we go any further, I see we have a super chat from Philly Phantom. Wow, look at that one. What's up, gang? Been a fan since the early BSH days. Just wanted to spread the love. You guys are excellent at what you do. Keep up the great work. Go Flyers rebuild. And Danny B and Jonesy, we trust.
Yeah,
Philly
buddy.
Phantom, thank you for all that support. Thanks for the super chat. Hope to see you more often. I have the newest BSH. Well, not the newest, but the one you guys put out before the season. I love this shirt. So thank you for listening all these years. Hope you stay with us. But this John Tortorella thing is just... It just seems ridiculous for something that happens in every game. It is the equivalent of the Garnett Hathaway 10-minute misconduct for something that happens literally every time a goalie freezes the puck.
That's a very good point. And the explanation on 32 Thoughts kind of makes it worse, because if Friedman is right, and he seems to think that he is, he made a point of saying, I've explained this to several people and no one's told me that I'm wrong.
Yeah.
It sounds like what happened is this junior ref fucked up a call. Torts got mad, as one does when you fuck up a call in a game that's already
three
off
in a
the
row
rails.
that's already off the rails.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And in order to cover this guy's ass, Wes McCauley says, I'm throwing you out. And it's just like, so it was just like a ass covering to cover an ass. Like, it was just like, none of it was good. None of it was based in anything that was actually done wrong. Like, there was never even a penalty to begin with. Like, all of it was bad. And all of this is just them covering their asses so that they don't have to make an explanation about what happened.
Like, what... maybe I interpreted this wrong from Friedman. When he says, like, the situation got out of hand, to me, that is, they knew this young referee was just going to keep fucking up. And John Tortorella would have used the 60 minutes allotted to him to verbally and mentally abuse this guy.
Part of
and
the
so
job,
they just got rid of him to get ahead of that. Like, that's what it sounded like to me. I'm sure there'll be plenty more on this as the days go by here and we hear more and more from John Tortorella and maybe the off season. But I got to take a quick second to tell you about Coors Light. John Tortorella probably could have used a little help chilling.
He might have chilled.
He could have used some of that Philadelphia in his life. Listen, this team, this league, this sport, they drive us absolutely nuts. As that super chat pointed out, Kelly, we've been doing this a long time. And just talking about them, it gets us a little fired up. And that's why sometimes I just need to chill. John Tortorella, he might need to chill a little too. And there's no better way to chill than with an ice cold Coors Light. So whether you're freaking out about horrible officiating, ridiculous suspensions, $50,000 fines, cool t-shirts that the team needs to put out, you need to find the Blue Mountains in your fridge and enjoy a beer as cold as the Rockies. Because when everything surrounding your favorite hockey team is on fire, sometimes you just gotta chill. When you choose to rise above it all, choose chill, choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/PHLY hockey. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. The Coors Light sponsorship is honestly working out
It's the best.
pretty well for us because, as Charlie put it the other day, I think it was yesterday when the suspension was announced, he was just like, I figured things were going to, calm down after the trade deadline. Okay, we're just basically going to be talking about the games and the race to the playoffs.
No, ma'am.
There's always something with this team.
Always.
And so we always have a reason to need to chill. And so we always have a reason to drink ice cold Coors Light. All right, so that's the torts of this. The other little piece of news that came out today, I saw this everywhere. I saw it on BR Open Ice. Apparently, they mentioned it on 32 Thoughts. I didn't listen that far. I had to, come here, do this show. So Ryan Johansen was waived, at least in part, because of hard feelings with his agent, Kurt Overhart, who also happens to represent William the Quitter Gauthier. And also because of history with Tortorella, that obviously played a part, at least some. What I will say about this is I am fine with doing this selectively. Like, if it's a guy you don't want anyway, you can tell that agent to fuck right off. But, like, say Leon Draisaitl's his contract expires and he's represented. I don't know if he is or isn't. I'm just using this as an example.
There's not that many agents.
Because I can't imagine there's a ton.
No.
But I just think of like the Phillies for a while kind of avoided Scott Boras guys because of all the shit that played out with JD Drew in the late 90s. And then everyone was represented by Scott Boras. So it's like, well, we have to do business with this guy.
Yeah, right.
Like, I have no idea whether Kurt Overhart is one of the most powerful agents or he's just some dude. If that's what this is, I do love the spite. Go fuck yourself, guy. But like, if this gets in the way of actual business down the line,
That's the thing.
that's concerning. But I do love the spite. I gotta say,
I am inclined to also love spite. But we talked about this a little bit at the deadline show. I kind of asked you, like, if this is John Tortorella saying, nah, I don't like this guy, I'm never going to play him, send him to Lehigh. Like, are we okay with that? And I guess in this case, it doesn't matter because Ryan Johansen isn't good. So, like, it doesn't really matter. But, like, I don't love the idea. This Torts is guys thing. And it kind of plays in. It gets to Wade Allison. It's getting to Bobby Brink a little bit. Like, this whole Torts is guys thing. I feel like 90% of the time it's fine. It's like, all right, he doesn't like a guy, whatever, it doesn't matter. He really likes a guy, Cam Atkinson. He's always going to play him, whatever. But I feel like 10% of the time, this whole Torts is guys thing is going to be a problem. And I worry that, like, this kind of thing where it's like, okay, yeah, maybe Ryan Johansen stinks. Flyers don't have any centers. Like, maybe you throw him out there and see what happens.
you would think.
I mean, there could be other things going on. I don't know. But then also with this agent thing, like you said, like, it doesn't matter now. But, like, hockey is like one of those worlds where, like, everything
It's
is
a
so
small world, man.
small world. Everything is super insular. Guys hold grudges. Like, people remember shit. Like, it's just like, do we want to, like...
I'm pretty sure the Fedotov situation is a direct result of Bobby Clark breaking someone's ankle in like
I'm
1972.
telling you,
1972.
Don't get me started. I believe that to be true. 100%.
I have no way to prove this, but I believe it to be true.
You can't convince me otherwise.
What I'll say, like, Torts' job in this rebuild is to identify who has it and who doesn't.
Yeah.
And if this was some guy who he'd had no dealings with before, like, this is not the first team to give up. Like, this is not some highly thought of, everyone loves. The Kevin Hayes thing is like, really? Everyone loves this guy.
Yeah.
Ryan Johansen, we heard Adrian Dater, we saw him tweet that day, who covers Colorado, like, oh yeah, locker room turned on him. They had to get rid of him. Everyone who's a Colorado fan oh yeah, like, you know, he has 13 goals, I think 23 points. Can't keep up, too slow. Yeah. Not good enough. Yeah. Stinks. These are things you're hearing about him.
Right.
Nashville retained 50% to send him to Colorado. Colorado dumped him and gave us a first-round pick so they could make room for Casey Middlestat to replace him in the lineup. Yeah. He was 10 more points than him this season. Like, maybe he's just not good. Like, that's the other part of this. And we don't know who we're hearing this from. Danny Briere wouldn't tell us. No. Like, wouldn't tell the media. So something tells me this shit is coming from Johansen's side.
That's fair, yeah.
And of course they're going to make it about the agent. They're going to make it about Torts because the agent is going to be like, oh, my player doesn't have it anymore. Yeah. He's not that good. Like, that's probably part of it, you know? Like,
that's a very good point.
I just think we're putting a lot of weight on, and now maybe some of this stuff gets leaked from the Flyer side, and they're like, yeah, we'll throw it out. But why wouldn't you leak that to someone in town? You know, the fact that this is a national thing, we've heard nothing from anyone on the Flyers, from, you know, the insular of the Flyers media.
No.
Charlie, or anyone else. Like,
I only know Charlie. It's the only one that counts.
I'm just like, the fact that it's Friedman and the fact that it's all, oh, it's the Flyers being dicks, like, that tells me who it's coming from.
That's a fair point.
That tells me who it's coming from. And maybe it's true, but, like, of course, the he's not any good part isn't going to factor into that. Right. Because it's the dude trying to get him paid again. But this really just brings me to the question, what happens now with Johansen? Like, he's going to be in the organization unless they just tell him stay home. Like, what do they do? And he's going to not report. like he's got another $8 million to make next year.
Yeah. He wants that
he's
money.
got the rest of this year's money and all of next year's money.
Because that could be the last of it. So he's getting that money. Yeah.
He could have just been picked up for a $4 million cap hit by anyone for free on waivers and wasn't, which tells you he's at least going to get not $4 million. You know, he's going to get less than that. So he wants his 8.
Yeah.
If he doesn't report and his contract gets terminated, he gets nothing. He might be playing in Europe. Who the hell knows? He might be on a 2-way deal. So it's going to be the Flyers who are going to be like, yeah, just stay home. That's going to be very weird. But I guess if you don't want him in the locker room, it's the best case scenario for everyone.
I guess. And it's not my money. Comcast can spend their money however they want. I don't give a shit.
They're paying $50,000 for Torts is fine. Just here's a few mil for Ryan Johansen to sit home.
Yeah. I guess it doesn't matter. I don't think. They wouldn't buy him out. That would just be a waste.
I wonder if they're going to buy him out at the end of the year, though. Like another year at
how much? Another year.
I forget how this works. I think it has the same. If they hold the contract, they can buy him out. And then it has the same cap repercussions for Nashville, who's retaining the 50% salary.
Okay.
So they'll have the final year of the deal bought out, and then they're paying him 2/3 of the salary for the next 2 years rather than retaining 50% for just next year. It's wild.
Math.
I've been asking questions about this on Twitter because I'm like, I know the basics here, but this shit is starting to get a little wild.
I need an adult.
But I just... This whole situation is so strange, and it's so funny to me that to get the first-round pick, it took, it's a dude that we already have history with. Like, it's a dude that the coach, it wasn't just some random guy.
Yeah.
It was someone who's, one, people know his name, and two, had a falling out of some kind with John Tortorella.
Right. And I honestly don't care because, again, I've said this 700 times now, they need to select a player in the first round of the draft. And they're going to do that.
Yeah.
And next year doesn't matter. So even if we're paying Ryan Johansen all of his money next year, it doesn't matter. Next year's ain't it. So it doesn't matter. So if we have to eat a little bit of shit on Ryan Johansen to be able to select a player in the first round, which means worth a first round pick, then okay. Good job, Danny, in my opinion, because here's the thing. We saw what other players brought back on deadline day.
Yeah.
And most of them weren't getting first.
No, the guys like Jake Gensel didn't go for a straight up first.
Right. Tanev didn't get a first. Briere got a first. So he did what he had to do to get it. And I think that that's super important. And it's just this is just kind of like a pain in the ass, really.
What's happening now, whatever. But when I see... And it's funny because it goes back to the Cutter situation, and they think this one's at least in part informing that one.
Kevin Hayes did this, didn't he?
This Kevin Hayes'
Fucking
fingerprints
Kevin Hayes.
probably. But
again,
I will say, does it worry you at all? Going back to the Hayes situation, the video of Torts screaming at Bobby Brink and Ula Lixell, now the Johansen stuff, the Cutter Gauthier stuff, all these things individually. Does it worry you about this team's reputation around the league down the line? Because we're looking at what they have and what they don't have. And I'm loving their depth. I'm loving what some of these guys are going to be, what they're going to develop into. They still don't have a star center. They still don't have a number one defenseman.
Yeah.
They're probably going to have to go out and buy those dudes, whether via free agency or trade. That means someone's going to have to come here and stay here. Does it worry you at all?
Nah. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I still, first of all, I don't think that it was ever the case that people didn't want to come here. I think that there was a period of time when Ron Hextall wasn't asking anyone to come here. So no one did.
Yeah.
That whole thing was extremely overblown, in my opinion. First of all, every free agent is going to go where they get paid the most money. So the Flyers will have to ensure that if they want one of the really good ones, they're able to pay them the most money. Additionally, I feel like the Flyers organization is still if you're a hockey player and you're looking around at the places you want to play, this has to be high on your list.
I just think
unless you're a little bitch like William who doesn't want to get looked at too much, and then you can't handle it, so you want to go play in Anaheim where no one's going to look at you.
Go sit and live in anonymity with Mike Trout in Anaheim.
Right, but Like, do you want to go play in St. Louis? No. Do you want to play in Winnipeg? No. Like, Philadelphia is one of the best organizations. The history, like the swagger, like which is coming back thanks to this front office. Like, I don't buy that at all.
I just look at it like once you play for this team, you are now in the running to one day be the GM and president.
100%.
Like
you have a job for life.
You have a job for life if you want it.
Any job.
There is a short list of dudes who are qualified to be the GM and president of this team. Playing for the team is one of those qualifications.
Yeah.
Or being friends with someone who did it, like Chuck Fletcher was with Bob Clark.
Right.
You know, one of the few outside the organization hires wasn't even really that. It was still in the family. If you're thinking big picture,
yeah,
you should really want to play here.
Yeah.
Patrick Sharp is the dude who got away. And you know what happened?
He's back.
He ain't away anymore.
No.
He's got a job.
And I mean, like, people want to pretend that Kevin Hayes is out there shit-talking the Flyers to anyone that will listen, but
they gave him $50 million.
I have a feeling that if you ask 99% of the players that played here, like, do you think I should go play for the Flyers? They'd be like, yeah, definitely. Fans are fucking great. Organization's awesome. Go play there.
Mike Richards is back in the alumni. All fences can be mended. Eric Lindros came back. Like, yes. Eric Lindros, after they tried to put him on a plane with a deflated lung,
yeah.
Eric Lindros is back in this organization. Yep. Like, I don't know. I think about this stuff. Like, I asked you the question. I also don't think it's that big a deal, but it might be something to just in the back of your mind. I don't think it's like right now this is a problem. I don't know if we can get anyone to come play here. I don't know, man. Owen Tippett just signed a pretty good contract with us.
Yeah.
Like, dudes seem to want to come here. Every was London Knights tweet about Bonk and Barkey has hashtag Let's Go Flyers in it. They both signed their ELCs.
Seems like they want to come here.
It seems like they want to come here. I think
Matvey Michkov is fucking chomping at the bit to get over here.
One would think, you know, just crossing my fingers. I really just hope they know something we don't know. And it's like, he's coming. But I have to put out of my mind that it's going to be anytime soon.
I still worry about Vladimir Putin holding a grudge against the Flyers for the 70s. It's in my head. It's never going to leave my head until he's here.
But wouldn't the ultimate victory be like, after 50 years, the person who delivered victory to us was a Russian?
Yeah. Infiltrate from the inside.
Yeah, like Come you've on. Done with our government. I mean, like, never mind.
I watched that show, The Americans. This is how it works.
This is how it works, right?
You must come to the inside.
Yeah. I watched Oppenheimer the other day. It was all right. It was a movie.
It was a movie.
Yeah.
I liked it.
No, I don't worry about this stuff, but I want to keep an eye on it. Like, how many of these things can happen that we still are like, fuck that?
I mean, you're not wrong, but I do think so long as the organization continues going in the right direction, which I believe it is, no reason to believe it's not. And like, once again, Keith Jones, the most likable man on the face of the planet, why wouldn't you want to come play for him? Like, I understand that people don't like Torts. Like, there's probably a short list of players who have said, like, I'm never going to play for John Tortorella again. But would we want those dudes? I don't know if we would. It seems a little weak to me.
It absolutely feels that way to me as well. Yeah. And that's why I'm kind of okay with the way Tortorella does things. Okay. I wish we could get Bobby Brink in the lineup every night.
I got a problem with that.
I wish certain things were a different way. And I've said this, like, I'm a tear it down guy. I wouldn't be doing this. We're going to try to have it both ways. But I do understand what they're doing. And if John Tortorella is like, I am going to make men out of all these boys, and then when the time comes, we will be ready to win in the playoffs because that's what it takes to win in the playoffs.
Seems like it's working.
Like,
can't argue.
It's hard to argue with the results that I thought this team stunk, and they could very well end up making the playoffs this year.
Yep.
So, I don't know. We're going to get a lot of flack from the outside, and I think that's going to be a little bit of Philly against the world stuff. I'm hoping they use this as the catalyst. Listen, things have fallen off a little bit. They just lost 7-0. Really tough stretch of games. Yes, they have the Sharks tomorrow, but then, like, after that, it gets real bad.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they use this as a little bit of that fuel. Like, we'll show them. And I will say, we've all had the opinion John Tortorella ain't going to be the coach forever.
Yeah.
He's going to move up in this organization and have some sort of different role at some point. We're going to have a question about Brad Shaw later, but not the worst thing in the world for them to be getting this opportunity these next couple games.
As long as he doesn't get hired.
That's my fear.
That's my fear.
Like, he is, like, it's not like he's young, and every team is looking for, like, that next young up-and-coming guy. But if that were to happen sooner than later, maybe it's not the worst thing. Like, if you have to keep him.
That's the thing. Like, if the options are he's going to get hired away by somebody else, or you promise him that in a year he's the head coach of this team, then I hope you're doing it, because man seems to be a wizard of some kind, and I do not want to lose him.
I don't either. Let me take a quick second to tell you about our friends at Bagels and Company. I love Bagels and Company, and so does my friend Kelly Henkel here. Stopped in and showed us some of the selection they have, and that's part of the first thing you have to know about the best Brooklyn-style bagels made in Philly. First thing you got to know, huge bagels and a huge selection. Big old bagels and usually 15 to 20 different varieties to choose from daily. Who doesn't love options? Second thing you got to know, well, when you have that many bagels, you need a ton of cream cheese options. You want to match the perfect cream cheese with the bagel flavor. They give you that possibility with 30 different flavors of cream cheese available at Bagels and Company. And finally, an affordable brand. You get a lot of food for cheap and delicious coffee as well. And it's not $7 a cup of coffee. It's an affordable coffee. It's an affordable bagel. I'm saying your first meal of the day, the most important, can also be your cheapest. So check out Bagels and Company for the best Brooklyn-style bagels made right here with Philly love. Go to thebagelsandco.com/store-locator to find the closest Bagels and Co. near you. I do want to take a look at this playoff race because Hinkle.
Goddamn.
I know on Friday we were very optimistic. You know, we're coming off that game on Thursday. They beat the Panthers. Everything was hunky dory.
Yeah.
Well, it's not so great right now. The Flyers are 4-5-1 in their last 10, following that 7-0 loss to Tampa. Meanwhile, the Islanders are on a 6-game winning streak. 7-2-1 in their last 10, and you look at these playoff standings. The Islanders have the basically the same record, well, same points as Detroit, but based on games played, they have one fewer. They are now in the second wild card spot, and they play again before the Flyers do tomorrow. They could be tied in the standings with the Flyers with the same number of... Oh, no, they'd still have a game in hand.
Oh, yeah, they would.
Yeah, so they'd supplant the Flyers, and the Flyers would be, I guess, in that second wild card spot. Yeah, because Tampa has one more win, so that's what it looks like now. This is going to be a fight. This is going to be a real fight, and we mentioned that schedule earlier, man. Again, they have the Sharks tomorrow, so that's... All right. We got to get those 2 points.
They cannot fuck around with that Sharks
Then
game.
you have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight games versus the Leafs at Bruins, versus Leafs at Canes, versus Bruins, versus Panthers at Rangers. Wow. Then you have another little bit at Habs versus Blackhawks. That's okay. You need 4 points there. Then April 1st against the Islanders.
That's a big one.
These next 10 games are gigantic for making the playoffs. And the way things are going right now, it's going to be real difficult. Dudes are dropping like flies.
Yeah,
Adam Ginning is up. I guess maybe Igor Zamula is still sick, or they want to have insurance against Travis Sanheim, who had that awkward thing with his knee the other night. Whatever it might be, they said it was a maintenance day in practice for Sanheim today. Also, they told us Ristolainen was day-to-day, and now he's week-to-week. Who knows what's going on with the defense right now? This stretch of schedule and the injuries they're dealing with and everything could not be happening at a worse time.
Yeah, it's not great. Here's the thing, though. These last 2 games were essentially the same team, except for some reason we had like 4 defensemen for the Tampa. Like that game was fucked from the jump. But there's nothing like they could be the Flyers that beat the Panthers for several games over this stretch. They could do that. Like they have to do it, but it's not like it's lost.
No.
Like they can do it. It's just going to be very tough. They're going to have to, like you said, tap into that us against the world, go fuck yourself mentality, which they've done a lot this season and it's worked for them. And Erson's going to have to really be on it. Like he was not on it against Tampa.
I have been an
game.
I've been an Erson defender all year, except for his first couple starts. I thought he's been pretty much solid all season. He's had some really great ones, just a few bad ones kind of dragging his numbers down, and even some of the bad numbers games. I don't know if the numbers tell the whole story because the Flyers, while they don't give up a ton of shots, they do seem to give up A+ scoring chances. When they make a mistake, it is a big one. But that game on Saturday was the worst I've seen Sam Ersson play.
He was real bad.
At least since that first Ducks game, maybe all season. He was horrendous.
He was real bad. That kind of seems like to be his thing. Like he'll do 10
He is an
really,
all or nothing guy.
really solid games, and then you just get one where it's just like as soon as you see the first goal, you're like, oh, that's it. He's done.
He gives up 2 or fewer or 5.
Yes.
Like,
yeah. That seems to be what happens with him. And so he's going to have to, like, okay, you had your clunker. Now we need you to have 10 good ones.
Yeah.
Because if you are faltering at all with this defense, it's not going to be pretty. So, I mean, like, these guys can do it. They just got to do it. And I think that they can. And I hope that these next 2 are kind of a couple of fuck you games for their coach. And then I hope coming out of that, they just like get some momentum and just like drill teams down. Like that's what they do. And the thing about that is like, they're going to be so dead if they get to the first round.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're going to be dead. Because we've talked about this before. Like they have to outwork teams to beat them. So they are going to have to kill themselves to get through this stretch. And if they do it, first round's going to be tough.
And you look at, like, right now they're matched up with the Hurricanes. We'll see how these standings work out, whether they nail down this third Metro spot or they end up in a wild card. But, like, you're looking at the Hurricanes are, like, one of the real good teams that they haven't had the best. They've beat them once, but I would say they haven't had the best performances against the Canes this year.
And they loaded up.
And then you look at the division leaders, like Florida or Boston or whoever it might be, or the Rangers. It's like these are the teams that they have struggled to beat the most, and that's who it's going to be in the first round. The Canes have loaded up. Like they got Gensel, they got Kuznetsov, Freddie Anderson's coming back. Like it's going to be rough sledding, but I do believe this team has it in them to at least make this interesting down the stretch.
Too.
We saw on Saturday we said a lot early on. Oh, when they don't have it, when they don't outwork you and they don't bring their A+ game, they're going to get killed by good teams. We saw that on Saturday.
Yeah.
Prior to that, we saw them kind of, even when they don't play great, they have a chance.
Yeah.
But they were just so depleted, and you just hope some of these dudes get healthy at some point. Like, I know Rasmus Ristolainen, we don't think he's awesome, but he's better than Erik Johnson at this point. Like,
and he's been good. Like, he was good.
Yeah.
I didn't want Rasmus Ristolainen out of the lineup anymore. Like, I fully turned around.
Like, Nick Seeler all of a sudden is, you know who they really need back is Nick Seeler.
I mean, like, they legitimately had 4 defensemen in the last game.
Yes. Yeah, it was
not good.
It was rough.
Not
it was
good.
Like, you go into a game with 5 and it's like 3 of them were not in your plans like a couple of months ago. You know, that's a rough thing to do.
Sean Couturier on D, who says no?
I mean, honestly,
seems like the best option.
I think it should be Nick Delorier. He was.
You think he can skate backwards?
He was drafted as a defenseman, I was told.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's basically
get him back there.
He's basically Brent Burns in reverse.
I'm ready for a Nick Delorier renaissance on the back end.
Can you imagine?
Let's go.
Can you imagine? All right, if you want to check out this team in person, and something I absolutely love about the GameTime app, I got a notification today from GameTime. Prices for the Flyers Sharks game down 11%. So if you're like, oh, I'm looking for one that's a little cheaper than usual, check it out. It's this Tuesday. It's coming up. So you can go with Game Time because buying tickets to your favorite event shouldn't be stressful. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. Game Time is the place for last-minute ticket deals. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. And the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section or row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Saw tickets for Tuesday as low as I think like $38 or $39 on the Game Time app today.
Bargain.
Get in price, and that's the all-in price. I like to sort by all-in pricing because I don't like to be surprised by fees. That's very easy to do with Game Time. So snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, Hinkle.
Yep.
Not only is it the 27th birthday of one Travis Konechny,
Oh.
not only is it one of my favorite holidays on the counter, 3/11 Day. The tweet that went out at midnight from the PHLY Flyers account, I scheduled weeks ago. I scheduled a happy birthday for midnight for Travis Konechny and Shane Gostisbehere. Those are the only ones I have memorized for some reason.
For you.
But not only is it those 2 days, it is also just another Mailbag Monday. So we have some questions to get to from our loyal listeners, and we will get to them right now. And we're leading it off with Ethan Freeman. And he asks, with Bradshaw getting love on Monday's 32 Thoughts about him being the supposed bench boss during Torts' suspension, what will the Flyers' approach be for him come the offseason? He is a commodity for the Flyers, D, but he's probably got a chance to be a head coach somewhere else if they let him. I do believe, I know it works in the NFL. If you get like a promotion, you can just go. If it's a similar position, you have to have the team's approval in the NFL. I have to assume in the NHL, like if someone has the someone has a head coach offer for you, they can't be like, well, you're a defensive coordinator, so you got to stay.
Right.
I can't imagine that's the case. And
I don't think
Torts did like leave the bench last year at the end of the season and let his guys, let his assistants coach the team. One would assume to kind of highlight them and give them like, oh no, like I totally trust them, to put them on display for the rest of the league as coaching candidates. We just kind of said this, but do you think if Torts isn't ready to hang it up yet, which doesn't seem like it, he's got a broken hand, whatever the hell's going on with him. He's coaching and he's flipping off referees and the media and going nuts.
Yelling.
Like, you got to believe he's got a few more years in him. Should they promise Shaw, like, you're the heir apparent, just hold tight? Or, like, what?
I don't know. After that performance on Saturday, I don't think I would hire Bradshaw. He should stay in Philly forever.
If you couldn't turn Eric Johnson
7-0, no thank you.
Eric Johnson, Ronnie Attard, and I don't even know. Who were the five? It was Sanheim, York, Johnson, Attard, and it's someone who's been here, right? I can't even think of who the fifth one was.
Who was it?
I can't even remember. That's what
was
it's.
it?
This is we're gonna feel so stupid when we can't find this.
Because Zamula was out still.
Zamula was out sick. That's why they only had the five.
Someone in the comments come through. Who was the fifth defenseman?
I have the box score right here. It was Stahl.
That's
Jesus.
what I said. Mark Stahl.
Mark
Duh.
Stahl.
I said that. You didn't hear me? What?
So Mark Stahl is 37. Eric Johnson
is also 500 years old.
Turns 36 in like a week or two. Ronnie Attard is 8th or 9th on the depth chart. We saw Cam York leave a game against Florida and come back.
Yeah.
Sanheim got hurt in the game. Yeah, I mean,
it's not great.
If Bradshaw couldn't do anything with that,
who
the fuck? Yeah, no. I guess
I do feel like if you sense that teams are sniffing around, I don't know how you let this guy go, man. I really don't.
What I'll say is,
Let Rocky coach the next ones. Get him a little spotlight.
John Tortorella,
Done
with
Rocky.
less than 2 years behind the Flyers bench, is like one of the longer tenured head coaches in this league. There is a tremendous possibility Bradshaw leaves, and by the time you're ready to replace
That's
John
true.
Tortorella, he's available
He's been
again.
fired. Yeah, that's very fair.
There's a really strong chance that he's available
Could
again, or
be.
you've brought him back to coach the defense again, and he's here, whatever that is. But the idea of him being a commodity right now as a defensive coach is the biggest deal to me. Like,
Yes.
Jamie Drysdale hasn't had enough time with this guy.
No, I need him with him.
I want him learning. Like, I want him coaching Oliver Bonk.
Yeah.
Like, these are things that are down the line that I hope we have this guy for, because he's sort of, I'm getting Jeff Stoutland vibes where he might like be the secret sauce to the success.
And here's the thing, like, this is where having an owner like Comcast Spectacor helps you, because there's no rule that says you can't pay an assistant coach $20 million.
Ain't no cap on coaches.
No, pay that dude whatever he wants.
You can make
$50
him
million.
50.
Take it.
You can make him the highest paid assistant and not
Sure
bat an
can.
eye at it. It's Comcast.
Yeah.
You have all the money imaginable. There should not be a budget. I mean, I'm sure
I don't think there is.
there's a budget, but like you can easily fit in like, oh yeah, we have the highest paid assistant. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who cares?
No one.
Nobody.
Nobody.
Nope.
You know what cable bills are these days? My parents still have cable. It's astronomical.
It's hilarious.
It's true.
what my parents pay for cable.
And they have no channels.
I steal it from them.
Way
I'm
to
an
go.
adult.
All right, another frequent questioner on Mailbag Mondays, Paul, with the great car ideas. What do you think the team is going to miss? What do you think the team is going to miss most about Sean Walker, and what potential do you see in a defenseman on the team to make up for that hole and or grow in the game to bring something equally as valuable so the team as a whole does not suffer? That's a great question.
It is a great question.
I think the ability to move the puck and not be a liability defensively. I do
Yes.
think he and Nick Seeler made a great pair together because they complemented each other so well.
Mhm.
But you have him out there on the penalty kill, and it's the best penalty kill in the league. Like, I bet you he's pretty good defensively too.
Yeah.
I think Cam York might be able to fill that hole, but he's kind of been doing it all year. So you need
Hopefully.
another guy to fit in there. I don't know if they have it on the current roster. Maybe Jamie Drysdale down the line, but again, we've seen him. We saw him for like a day, and he went away. I wonder if like Ian LePerriere can maybe get that out of Emile Andre before he comes back up. Like he's got that puck moving ability. He's got that chance taking, join the rush.
That would be nice.
Sort of mentality. Can he turn that into a dude that you can still trust in the defensive zone on the penalty kill? That's Ian LePerriere and Bradshaw's job to figure out.
Yeah. I'm not sure I've fully, or any of us really have fully been able to grasp what we're going to miss about Sean Walker.
They played one of their best games of the season in the first game without him.
Yeah.
And then the second game
It
without
all
him, it
fell
was a
apart.
fake game after 10
Yeah.
minutes.
I wonder what Nick Seeler is going to look like without Sean Walker.
That's maybe the biggest concern.
Because Nick Seeler before Sean Walker was like a fine 6'7". Fine.
Extra guy.
Extra
Nice.
guy. Just a guy.
He's a replacement level player. All of a sudden, he was a 4.
Now he's like a top 4 defenseman that
On a
we've just
playoff
given
team.
a contract to 4 years, whatever, 2.7. I don't know what to expect. I worry that is going to be like the biggest drop off, is that Nick Seeler less Sean Walker is just going to be, I'm not going to say a disaster, but like he's just going to go back to being just a guy.
Like next November, because I have no idea when Sealer's going to be back, and I have no idea
No.
how long the season's going to go. So I'm just going to fast forward to like the first 2 weeks of next November, and we're like, the fuck did we do?
We're
Like,
stuck with
Danny,
him for 4 years.
Danny, what did you do?
Oh,
Now,
no.
listen, and that's
Nah.
it's not the Andrew McDonald contract. It is not going to bury them. It's less than
No.
4% of next year's cap. So, like, cool.
Yeah.
But that is a good one. Like, what exactly is Nick Seeler without Sean Walker? Because Listen, Nick Seeler was a tough son of a bitch before team guy, nice story and all.
Sure.
But what was he prior to this pairing?
Mark Dunk.
It was
he
the
was
team's
a guy.
Yeah, it was Mark Dunk. Exactly. Like he was just some guy.
Yeah.
We were like, wow, what's he doing in the line? Oh yeah, he's in there because he fought Nick Delorier. Way to go.
That's it.
Like, oh, cool. That's why you dress a defenseman. He has turned himself into something. What is that something going to be without Sean Walker? That might be the thing.
We're gonna find out.
That's like a great cut for the for a social clip right there. All right, from Colin. Hi guys. Hi. With Danny and company selling while making small ads at the deadline, do you see them having the same strategy this offseason? Risto, maybe Cam Atkinson buyout, etc., or do you see them potentially making a hockey trade as well, possibly for Trevor Zegras? Thanks. Yeah, I think it's...
Why not both?
Yeah, they could do both. I do think it might be a little more incremental.
Yeah.
Who the hell knows what's going to be on this blue line still available? Like, I have no idea.
No.
I guess other stuff is possible. From everything I heard about the Zegras situation, they have checked in.
Yeah.
But don't have what it takes to make it happen.
Right.
Anaheim isn't like, he's untouchable, but they are like, we need a lot.
Yeah. Or we're just going to keep him.
We need a whole lot.
Yeah.
That said, the Flyers have 8 picks in the first 2 rounds over the next 2 years and a pretty highly thought of farm system.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps after they've collected all the assets they have, maybe there's something to be said for that.
There could be.
Maybe they have more now than they did when they made this phone call a few weeks ago. That's a possibility. Am I expecting Trevor Zegras? No. I think the big splash is still maybe a year away.
Yeah. I do think that they're going to try to do some stuff. I do think that some of these injuries might hamper. Like, I think if Risto had the year that he had last season this year, we were probably looking at a for sure Risto trade this summer, especially if we had seen playoff Risto and he had been cromulent to good. I don't know if we're going to see him get traded now because I forget what he looks like. Torts said something in media availability today where he was like, "Oh, no one talks about Rasmus Ristolainen because you guys don't like him." No, it's because I forget because it's been so long since I've seen him that it's like, what are we going to ask about Rasmus Ristolainen? Where even is he? He's on the island with Ryan. So I could see like that trade not happening this summer just because of that. The Lawton thing probably seems like a long shot at this point because I think in our minds we have overvalued Scott Lawton. I don't think that the value that he has around the league is probably as high as we want it to be. So I do think that this summer could just be like little surgical moves, maybe something at the draft. A hockey trade would be cool, but I don't know which of our players, like who is the needs a change of scenery guy on the Flyers right now? I don't know.
Ryan Johansen. No, you see, I actually disagree with the Risto part of that.
Ooh.
I think if he had the same year he did last year, in which he did miss 8 games, not a ton, but he missed some time to start the year, the Flyers could go, okay, we've turned him into something who's going to help us. Now it's like, this dude gets hurt a lot.
He does.
We're paying him $5 million to not play. He hasn't played since February 10th. He missed part of the beginning of this season. I think they might be more open to moving on from him than they were a year ago.
Who would want him?
You're going to have to retain. That's going to probably be the situation unless it's one of those dumb teams that valued him at a first-round value. Like, when Chuck Fletcher traded for him, it was like, other teams would have traded a first for him. Sure. And it was like, Montreal. How they doing?
What are they doing right
bad
now?
Teams. Congratulations. Yeah. I think maybe you don't get a big return for him, but I do see a need to open up some roster spots. And my belief right now is a team like Toronto or somebody is going to come up short in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Specifically in a series against the Florida Panthers, in which the Panthers beat the shit out of them in however many games it goes. They just pummel them black and blue. And then that team goes, we need to get fucking tougher so we can beat them. And then they do the Flyers get beaten up by the Blues. And so Ed Snyder says never again, and we become the bullies. They do their version of that by bringing in Lawton and Risto. That is my belief.
I love it. It's extremely Toronto too.
Yeah, they are
the prime. We need Toronto
if
to
a team does this,
again.
like if I was making odds, Toronto is off the board. They are at least minus 300 to do this. If you bet on them, you will get no return. They are minus 300 right now. If a team does this, is them. But I can see a number of teams falling into that. Oh, we got to get tougher narrative. And it's like, yeah, man, like Scott Lawton makes you mentally tougher. He's not as good as Matt Tkachuk, though. So good luck. Thanks. Thanks for whatever the return is. But I do wonder, like
Lawton for Tkachuk. Who says no?
I thought they were building up Lawton so much. Oh, it's going to have to be an overpay, like to prepare us for them trading him. And the fact that it didn't happen.
Yeah.
I wonder if the appetite is out there for him the way it was this summer.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
He's not having a good year. Like, he's come on recently, but the first half of the season was real bad. And people saw that. So, it is what it is.
All right. Let's see if we can get to a few more here. From Praise the Puck. Cam York seems like a certainty for being a good top 4 defenseman here after all his work this season. But what is his ceiling based on what we've seen so far, and how likely is it for him to hit that ceiling? I think, like, if I were to make a player comp, it would be better defensive Matt Carl.
Yeah,
that
feels
could
right.
play on a top pair. I mean, he played on he was not a top pairing defenseman, but he had one of the best ever next to him, so he was. Decent second pair guy. I think he and Travis Sanheim are very similar. And so I'm starting to look at him, Sanheim, and Drysdale and going, I bet you one ain't here that long. Say they do want to make a hockey trade. Say they are looking at Trevor Zegras.
Cam York is a good one.
I know, and like he's part of that crew. Drysdale, York, and Zegras, they're all pals. So it would be kind of funny to trade one for the other. But it's just like looking at what they have.
Yeah.
And looking at what, say, Anaheim has. You know what they have? A ton of forwards. A whole bunch of forwards.
Not a lot.
That's why they're open to trading a Trevor Zegras. Yeah. Maybe he's that piece that gets you over the top, whereas a couple of weeks ago, they were like, no, we can't trade him. And now it's, well, maybe we can. So I wonder if he hits his ceiling here, but I think his ceiling is, like you said, good top 4 defenseman, but he's not a needle mover for me. He's good.
No.
I've liked what I've seen, especially lately.
Yeah, he's been better.
He seems to really take into the defensive side of the game this season. Want to see a little bit more offense out of him consistently. I also know that's tough to do when Travis Sanheim's like deep in the zone a lot.
Yeah,
someone has to be back. So I like Cam York. I don't love him.
I wanted more from him.
Yeah.
I really did. And I'm not sure we're going to get it. I do think second pair is his absolute ceiling. Do I think he's going to hit it? Yeah. Is he going to be a 3 or a 4? That's, I think, debatable. I don't know if he's like, the anchor on a second pair or if he's just like the other guy on a second pair. That, I think, remains to be seen. I definitely don't think at this point he's got top pair potential. Not at all. Which stinks. Because I think that's what we wanted from him. We keep trying for that number 1 defenseman.
Draft day comparable, Brian Leach.
Oh, God, they did say that, didn't they? Jesus Christ.
I will fucking never get over it.
Why would you say that?
Because he's American.
I know, but you can't say that out loud.
Literally, if he was from Sweden, they would have never said that. It's truly.
Brian Leach. Good God. Hang that around his neck forever.
Absolutely incredible. A couple of questions from our pal Stackatoshi here. We'll start with this one. Are you worried about the front office's lack of ability to plan for contingencies when things go wrong, i.e. not having an extra D on a road trip? Here's the thing. They did. Then they sent some dudes down, and they had 1 game left of this road trip. And everyone was healthy when they went to bed that night.
And then they weren't.
Igor Zamula woke up sick, and they didn't have a sixth. So they tried to get Adam Ginning back, but were unable to get him on a plane. I think they got him a ticket, and it got delayed. It was a whole... So, like...
How does Comcast not have a plane?
Maybe there was bad weather. They were using it for something else.
Yeah,
Who the hell knows?
I don't know, yeah.
I'm sure they have one, but was Adam Ginning the priority? I doubt it. Like, there was probably like one of their executives had his kid's Little League game to get to, and it was Adam, we're booking you a commercial, and there's a delay. Sorry. It was shit weather that night here in the area. Like, listen, I will always laugh at things like this, and it was funny that they had to go with 5, and they had a dude here and sent him back and then immediately needed him. But this is, sometimes shit just goes wrong.
I was just going to say, like, this was a very specific, literally everything that could have gone wrong leading up to and during that game went wrong. If this happened over and over, maybe I would have a little bit of worry, but this was just like,
I mean, they've dressed 7 defensemen in like half the games this year.
Yeah.
Like they've had too many defensemen for most of the season.
Right. Yeah. This was
they
just
had one bad, a freak thing happened. If Igor Zamula is like a little less sick,
right,
it's no one even knows this happened.
Exactly. Yes.
All right. And the second question from Stakatoshi: did Wade Allison get a fair shot here?
No.
Danny said Forster took his spot out of camp, but that feels a bit like revisionist history as Tyson was underwhelming October to December. I worry other prospects will get the same treatment, i.e. Brink.
Same.
I don't. Wade Allison wasn't that good.
Okay, here's the thing.
He's got 17 points in the AHL.
Was Wade Allison going to change the face of the franchise? No. Would Wade Allison have developed into a solid fourth liner? Maybe.
Oh, I liked Allison. He was fun to watch when he was healthy. I think that's... do I think he got a fair shake? No.
He got hurt too much. Also, he acted like a giant piss baby when he got sent down, which is never going to be good for you when it comes to John Tortorella. No. And so I think he kind of dug his own grave with that behavior. And then also not lighting the world on fire in the AHL also didn't help. I'm probably too invested in Wade Allison than I ought to be. I just really liked him. Do I think it matters? Not really. Now, Bobby Brink is a different situation because Bobby Brink got sent down and not only didn't act like a piss baby about it.
11 points in 11 games.
He went down there and lit it up. But the problem is when he does come back up, he doesn't seem to have any leash whatsoever with Torts. The second he fucks up, he's out of the lineup. And I think that's a problem because Brink, I think, can be something.
Oh, yeah.
And he's not going to get the chance to be if you don't give him the chance to be.
I think he's earning his chance. I don't think a few games out of the lineup is going to kill him. Now, I want him in there. And when you look at a dude like Cam Atkinson...
How many is too many, though?
He's played a lot of games this season. And he was never supposed to make this team. But he did kill it in camp. And the thing about Tyson Forster is... Like, Tyson Forster is a million times better than Wade Allison.
Yeah.
To say he was underwhelming October to December... Scoring-wise, yes. He also graded out as one of the best defensive forwards in the league, and that kept him in the lineup.
Yeah.
Like, he kept getting chances. They just weren't going in.
Right.
And if you just see him in puck battles, you see him in the neutral zone, you see his positioning, you get why coaches love him. And now, all of a sudden, the pucks are going in, and he looks like a top 6 forward.
Yep.
That's really good. So, like, I don't know if I agree with the Forster part of this. But, like, did Wade Allison get a fair shot? No. And we knew that was going to happen as soon as... John Tortorella repeated how many times gets hurt a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I can't depend on him. That more than anything, I think, kind of just dug his grave. And is it fair? No, but life ain't fair sometimes.
Yeah.
And when you look at like the potential of them, it's like, well, what did we really lose? You know, like
a fourth liner, probably.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was on waivers at the start of the season. Mm-hmm. Nobody took him. There's 31 teams. Nobody wanted him for nothing.
Fair.
So I don't know. I can't get that worked up about Wade Allison. And I just think like the Bobby Brink comparison doesn't work for me because he made this team out of camp and he's been with the NHL roster for all but a couple of weeks of this season.
I don't I mean, we're not comparing the players.
No. I just mean the way they're being treated.
I don't know. I like I said at the start of the show, I just worry that sometimes Torts puts guys into boxes. And once you're placed into the no box, it takes so much to get out of it. So perhaps Bobby Brink also needs to go into his office and take his shirt off and threaten to fight him, whatever Morgan Frost did. And then it'll be fine. But Bobby Brink looks like a small puppy dog. I'm not sure that he has it in him to ask the coach for anything, let alone ice time.
He needs to.
I know.
He needs to have that mentality.
He looks
because
like he's 11 years old.
The coach doesn't believe you can be as great as you could be if you don't have that in you.
I know. So maybe it's going to take a few more scratches.
And he just needs to grow up a little in terms of his own ice play. Like when the coaches
don't fuck up so much,
when
dude.
the coaches ask for a line change, fucking get off the ice. Like that's why you're out of the lineup right now.
Yeah.
It's not even that you didn't make the play. It's that you didn't have the energy to make the play because you were out there for over a minute and a half after they told you to get off the ice. And everyone's held to that standard. Like Cam Atkinson has been benched this season. Sean Couturier's played on the fourth line. This shit happens to everyone. I can't get that upset about Bobby Brink, who I never expected to see in the NHL this year anyway. I think he's ahead of schedule.
I'll try to be more reasonable. But
I think
no promises.
It could be a problem. I don't think it is yet.
All right.
Final question. I want to get to this one from John Berner. Yeah, we're skipping that other one because I want to get to this one before we finish. How tall is Charlie? I can't tell.
6'5".
Yeah, the thing is, Charlie's actually a giant, and we shoot him so I don't look like I'm only 4'8".
He's actually in the distance.
Yeah,
during this show.
He sits in the other studio.
You can't tell because the production is so good. Charlie's in the distance, so he looks like he's the same size as Bill, but he's actually enormous.
Olipop refrigerator is actually 8 feet tall.
Yeah.
But you can't see it because it's all the way back there. That's 100 feet behind me. Yeah. And that's where Charlie sits.
That's where Charlie sits.
Yes. All right.
He projects tall, doesn't he?
He does.
He does. Yeah. He's got tall
All right. Before we get out of here, I got to remind all of you, Thursday, Flyers Leafs is our PHLY takeover at the Wells Fargo Center. It's also Pearl Jam night, which is how we're getting Kelly Hinkle there. But it's going to be an awesome night, Flyers Leafs. This is a huge game for the Flyers. They played a great one against the Leafs a couple of weeks ago. I'm very much looking forward to this. Oh, who's out?
No Mitch Marner.
Oh, yeah. Marner's out.
Yeah.
Tortorella's out. Hashtag free Torts. It's going to be a really good time. We have a meetup in the assembly room before the game. Go to allphly.com/events to get your tickets for this. Be on the lookout for all of our events. This one is brought to you by our friends at Olipop. This is going to be a ton of fun. It's going to be a great game. Flyers are in the most meaningful part of their schedule yet. They have that little warm-up game, bounce back, work out the kinks against the Sharks on Tuesday.
Yep.
Flyers Leafs begins the toughest consecutive stretch of this season. I hope they kick it off with a win. I want to see everyone there to support the orange and black.
Nothing better than watching a hockey game with a bunch of your buds.
It is the best. Better. Yeah. And
come do it.
It's Kelly Hinkle's interests night. Pearl Jam,
all of them.
The Leafs, Flyer. What else? What else could you possibly want?
Peanut butter cups?
I bet you can get some.
Probably.
Yeah,
That's about everything, though.
That is all the time we have for you at PHLY Flyers today. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for hanging out. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Follow us right here on YouTube. Check out the Twitter at PHLY_Flyers. Wherever podcasts are found, PHLY Flyers. My name is Bill Matz for Kelly Hinkle. Happy 3/11 day, fam.
Y'all silly like the mayor.